Hello and welcome to Bit by Knit with me, Jenny. I'm coming at you today from beautiful British Columbia, where I live on the west coast of Canada. I'm glad you can join me today. I've got a few things to share with you. I've got 4 finished objects, but 2 are the same thing, 2 of them. I've got 2 works in progresses and 1 that's almost a work in progress, so I'm going to show a little bit of that. And you know what? No acquisitions, surprisingly. I was expecting something for today. It didn't come in time, so hopefully next video I will have that, and that's very exciting. I'm very excited to get that. But anyways, we're going to start with the finished objects, and I'm going to start with the yarn cozies because I did a little bit of a test, I guess you could say, where I blocked one and I didn't block the other one so that you guys can see and I can see the difference that it makes for, especially because the yarn that I used for the yarn cozies was it was taken from a project that I frogged, and so I never bothered getting all the kinks out of it, so it was like kinky yarn. And it made a big difference when I was knitting with it to show my stitches were just not looking very nice, and then blocking it they look much nicer. So we'll start with that. So these are my 2 finished yarn cozies. They're the fingering yarn cozy by Heathland Knits. That's Melina Franken pattern. It's free online, and I will link all of these things down below, and I'll put a picture up here of their projects as well, of everything that I'm talking about today. Try to remember. So anyways, these are mine. These are made out of yarn from Bramble Ridge. This is her sock high twist yarn, which is 85% merino and 15% nylon fingering weight. And yeah, so I've got 2 of them here. This one is my blocked one, and this one is my unblocked one. And you can tell that they are very, very different. They're actually different in size too. So that's clearly quite a big difference. I'll bring them up close here as well. If that did not show well, I'll also put a picture up here because I did take a side-by-side picture of them to show the difference. So if that was not clear, I'll put a picture. I might do both. Anyway, so that's my 2 yarn cozies. I still have a good amount of yarn left. I can get at least 1 more yarn cozy out of it, maybe even 2, because it was a whole 100-gram skein of yarn that I used, and I have 3 yarn cozies from it so far, and I think these are 20 grams each. So maybe I can even get, yeah, maybe I can get 2 more out of it. Anyways, this is the colorway Duck by Bramble Ridge, and it's so nice. It's really soft, it's really squishy, and I love the color. Orange is my favorite color, and this has orange in it. So that is my first finished object. My second finished object is the Oslo hat by PetiteKnit. I'm all done it. It's finished. She's beautiful. I really, really love how this turned out. I did find that, I did make a mistake, and it was my own fault. It's not really a mistake, I guess. You have to, so this pattern has you knit a bunch, and then you fold the brim and you pick up stitches along the edge so that you have a folded brim, and then you have to do some more knitting, and then you do a turn. So anyways, in the turn part of the pattern, it's she recommends doing a German short row to make it look really neat, and I didn't do that, so it doesn't look very neat on my turn. You can tell where it is. It's not bad. I mean, you would see it worse if it was not with a mohair, but it is with mohair, so it's not as obvious, but you definitely can tell where my beginning of row is, where that turn happened, even where the pickup stitches are, and I will show it. Here comes my dog. Come on. Oops. Okay, hopefully this will show up. There's the beginning of round, and I'm hoping the mistake is showing in the camera. That not very tidy, but the nice thing about this pattern is you still flip it again anyways, so it's hidden. You can't tell. So that's, yeah, lovely. But it's all done. It is a what is it, like a floppy hat? That's not the right term. Slouchy. There we go. It's a slouchy hat. And I did actually have enough yarn to, I think, make a second one, which I plan on doing. This is really lovely. I really do like the look of it, the feel of it, the drape of it. It's very nice. And if I make a second one, I might just gift it to my sister because I feel like she might enjoy these colors as well. So the yarn that I used for this was 2 yarns held together. I did the Valhalla Farms, their farmhouse sock, and that was in the colorway Tequila Sunrise. And then I also held it double with the Autumn and Indigo 70% Kid Silk Mohair and the 30% Silk, and that's in the colorway Umber. So it made this beautiful, muted, kind of pink, nice, beautiful color. And I do have some like bee film of me wearing it, and I will put it, I don't know, up here or over my face or somewhere so you guys can see me wearing it as well. And it's super cozy and comfortable, and it fits perfectly. I can't remember what size I did. I think it was the size small. I don't have it written down anywhere, which is surprising. I think I have it linked in my Ravelry page, but I didn't write it down where I can find it. Pretty sure it's a size small. I don't think I would have done extra small. And the other thing I wanted to mention about the hat is I used a 3.75 millimeter needle to knit this up, and I also started it on May the 4th and I finished it on May the 27th. So it took me less than a month and very enjoyable knit. My final finished object is my Cumulus blouse O-neck. She's all done and she's gorgeous and I love her so much. She's so soft and squishy and nice and cozy to wear, and I super can't wait to wear it in the fall, winter, or spring next year. It'll be so lovely. So this is my Cumulus blouse O-neck by PetiteKnit. I remember in my last video I was talking about the sleeve length was my main concern because I did a little try on. So I tried it on and the sleeve length seemed to be perfect. So I did the I-cord bind off, and then I tried it on the next day and the sleeve was too short. So I was talking about my options and I decided to just block it and try it on again and see if blocking fixed it. Like I finished it first. I didn't want to pause halfway through. I'm not that kind of knitter. I'm spontaneous. I'm too spontaneous with like knits and stuff, and I can't get past pausing on things if I just want to get it done. So I did just finish it and I blocked it, and it actually is perfect now. And I will put also a video of me, some bee film of me wearing it because I just wanted to show the length and the fit and everything, and it is perfect. And I didn't even have to I felt like I didn't over block it or over stretch it or anything like that. It just, yeah, blocked out really well. So the only thing that I feel like the pattern wasn't really clear about was how you finish the I-cord bind off. So I had to find another video on how to finish those last couple of stitches in the I-cord and then how to attach it to the beginning of round where the start of the I-cord was. And so mine isn't very neat. You can definitely see in each of my spots where that beginning of round is. It's kind of like a little bit of a bump to the spot there, and I did the best that I could. I am glad that this is not just a merino yarn, that I used Surrey instead, because it's fuzzy and you can't tell very well those spots unless you look for it. So I'm okay with it. I can tell, but nobody else will. And I think the next time I make an I-cord, I will have this further in my podcast here, but the next time I do an I-cord, I want to find out how to do that properly with the bind off and the connecting it to the start so that it won't be noticeable. But other than that, really good pattern, really good description and detail and everything. She does a great job with how she writes out her patterns, so very happy with that. And the yarn that I used is Bramble Ridge Surrey Alpaca yarn. So this is 75% Surrey Alpaca and 25% silk, and this is the colorway Fairy Glen, and I love it. I'm very happy with it. And I used 5mm needle for this blouse, and they were the Chow-Gu interchangeable needles I used for this, and I had started it on April the 29th, and I finished this on May the 29th, so it took me a solid month to do. And I did pretty much knit it pretty regularly, so I didn't take any long breaks or anything, so that's a pretty good judge of how long it takes me to do a garment. That's a simple garment anyways. A month. Okay, so I just want to do a little, before I get to my whips, I'm not going to talk about the pot holders or the colors of the wind cowl because I didn't touch those in the last 2 weeks. I was more focused on my 2 current whips I'm going to show you and prep for the 3rd whip that I'm going to show you, so those didn't get touched, so I don't have them here with me. We're not going to talk about them. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the swatch that I did for my waffle sweater. So this is my 2nd swatch that I've done for my waffle sweater. I actually don't know where my first one is. It's somewhere. The first one I did was in a Surrey yarn because I kind of expected to use this, my Cumulus blouses Surrey for it, and that didn't work out. So I thought, because this is not Surrey, this is mohair this time, I thought I better do another swatch just in case the gauge is a little bit different. I feel like Surrey might be a little bit bulkier than mohair, so and this is a very detailed sweater, so I really didn't want to have to do any adjusting, frogging, or anything like that because my size was off. So I did do a gauge swatch and I did block it and everything like that. And so this is it here, and she's actually a little bit small gauge-wise from what the size is for the waffle sweater. So I am going to go up a needle size to knit this. I'm still humming and hawing over if I really like the pattern or not. I feel like I will knit it. I hope I will love it. The gauge swatch is such a, it's not a good gauge for if you're going to like a pattern because it's such a small amount. And I feel like the eyelets or the design that it's creating looks really large on the gauge swatch, but I think on the finished item they will not look as large as I think they do, so I'm hoping it'll make it look nicer. But here she is up close. That's the, you have to do the gauge swatch in pattern, so that's the waffle stitch pattern that I did. Hopefully that's showing up for you guys. And I did it, it's a gauge swatch in the round, and so when you do a gauge swatch in the round, you guys probably know this, but the easiest way to do it is to just do the row and then, you know, use up all the yarn and then do the next row and just waste yarn in the back. So that's why all this is back here. And the nice thing about doing it that way is that you can reclaim this yarn if you don't have enough in your amount that you have purchased. So anyways, that's all that I've gotten for this so far. I didn't actually start. I was going to, but my other 2 projects took up enough of my time that I didn't get to start on this one because the other 2 projects I'm going to show you are both garments. The first one I'm going to show you is actually, I did also do a gauge swatch for, so I'm very proud of myself. I did 2 gauge swatches. So the gauge swatch that I did for this one is the Knit Picks Cotlin yarn, and it is a 70% cotton and 30% linen, and this is the colorway Shoal, and it's DK weight yarn. And because I don't usually work with, like I've never worked with a blend of cotton like this before, that's why I did a gauge swatch, because I just didn't know how much it would grow or the drape or anything like that on it. So I'm very proud of myself. I did do a swatch, and it's actually a bit big. The swatch ended up being big, which is surprising. Kind of surprising. I know I'm a tight knitter. I usually have to go up a needle size, but when it comes to cotton, like I do have past injuries from working with cotton. I gave myself tendinitis in my elbow, and it took a long time for it to heal, and it happened when I was using a cotton, I was actually crocheting with cotton. I made a cover for my mop head, and I made a bunch of baskets, and it was like a bunch of yarn and cotton held together, and so it was tight crocheting, and I damaged my tendon, and it took a long time to heal, and I can still sometimes feel it, so I do actually often wear a brace when I'm knitting or crocheting. I'll wear a brace on my elbow. If it's really bad, I'll even wear a brace on my wrist just to alleviate that strain. And so when I'm knitting with cotton now, I do try to be a bit more careful, and I feel like I do knit a bit more loose when it comes to cotton. So all that to say, my gauge is a bit loose on this, and so I went down a needle size for the project that I'm doing with the cotton yarn. So I'm using 3.25 millimeter needles for this project, and I am working on the Sammensat 24T is what I chose. And I didn't remember that I had already purchased it in my last episode, but yes, I did purchase it. I bought the pattern with the intent of making it, and so I bought the yarn knowing I had that pattern, and so that's what I'm making. Anyways, this is as far as I've gotten so far. I'm kind of in the middle of a row, so I'm doing magic loop, but it's like getting really low on my space on my needle, so I gotta start getting it not in magic loop, but it's kind of hard because cotton is so, it's not as stretchy as wool is, and so and my needles are so long. I didn't have smaller tips for this size of needle. It is 3.25, right? Or is it 2.25? Yeah. And so I don't have 3.25 smaller tips. I do have it in 3.5, so if I had met gauge on the 3.5, I would be fine, but I didn't, so I have to use the longer needles. And they are on Chow Goose circulars. I love my Chow Goose. I do need to get the next size down, smaller tips, but it's an expensive product and I don't have time. I don't have that available to me at the moment. Anyways, all that to say, it's kind of on magic loop right now. So this is it. I can't really show her. Oh no, actually I am at the start of the round. I probably could just, anyways, this is her. And so I did choose the size small for the pattern, and I'm really hoping that's going to be correct. It does look small. Okay, this is going to be a running theme today, I guess. This one looks small. The next one I'm going to show you looks big. I don't know what to do. I'm going to trust the process because I did the gauge swatch and I know that I need to go down a needle size, and I checked the gauge on this one and it is good. So, and I am a small, usually I fit a size small, and so I'm hoping, and I did the measurements, so I'm hoping it will be right. But anyways, let's bring this up close for you guys. It's kind of messy. But that's what she's looking like so far. The nice thing about this pattern too is that there are, I think she does put in 6 options for a bit of a pattern within the pattern. And so at the very bottom of my row that I'm on right now, I did that pattern. You start, like, you don't introduce the pattern in the pattern until you're quite a ways in. So yeah, I did my first row of the pattern that I chose, and it's like a pearl ridge or something like that it's called. So you do a couple of purl rows and knit rows and a pearl knit row, and yeah, you space them out every so often and you get a cool little design. And she's got, I think she has 6 of them, and I chose the one that I thought would be the easiest with working around the increases, and because I don't think I've ever done a pattern around increases before. So I'm trying the easiest one, and I really like the pattern itself. So I'm hoping that I can make maybe another 1 or 2 with the other options for the pattern in the pattern. So that is my Sammensat tee. Oh, I don't think I said who it's by. It's by Elsebeth Judith. And that's what I've got so far. Okay, now my last working project. It's a bit of a mess. It's got a lot of yarn coming out of it, but that's okay. So I've made other sweaters in the past and I've had just leftover yarn from it, and I really wanted to use up that leftover yarn, and I said earlier in the podcast that I'm a bit spontaneous at times, especially when it comes to wanting to start things and just being eager to start it and not really wanting to take the time to prep too much for it, which is my own downfall, and I'm sure it will lead to a lot of frogging, especially this project. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I want to frog this or not. Let's start at the start here. This project I chose for this pattern, it's the June top by PetiteKnit. It's a tank top, and I wanted to use up yarn in my stash already. So the tank top that she has, like the pattern, it's not at all the yarn that I have. It doesn't call for this kind of yarn, but I thought I could work it out. What I chose to do, the yarn that I'm using is like a DK weight yarn. Nope, that's wrong. Worsted weight yarn. I think the pattern is DK, and I'm using worsted weight. And so I usually, if that happens, I will just go down a needle size to knit the pattern, or I'll go up a needle size for the yarn, and I'll go down a size in the pattern for the pattern. Yes, I'm making sense. So that's what I did. I chose the size extra small in the pattern for this, and I went up a needle size. So I'm using a 5.5 millimeter needle, and I'm doing the size extra small in the pattern. What I didn't realize until last night, when I'm quite a ways into the pattern, is that the extra small is not very different than the small. I think you cast on like 6 less stitches or 8 less stitches than the size small, and the extra small is the smallest size in the pattern. And then from small to medium, there's I think like 12 or 14 stitch difference. So I feel like I'm actually knitting more of a size medium to like not, because I didn't hit gauge. The patterns gauge and my gauge are 3 stitches different, I believe. 3 stitches different, which is pretty significant. And I really thought that the size extra small would accommodate that, but it's yeah, it's not enough of a difference between that and the small. So anyways, I'm pretty sure this is turning out to be a medium, and I don't know if I like that. And oh, the thing too with that pattern, so the June top is knit from the bottom up, and I've never done a bottom up knit before. This is my first one. I'm actually really enjoying it, and I think that I might be judging it too harshly right now because I've never done a bottom up. See, that's my thing. I don't know if it looks too big because it is too big, or if it looks too big because I'm doing a bottom up knit that I've never done before, and I don't know how that's supposed to look. But anyways, this is it. And I'm using a bunch of different yarns. The beige yarn is Knit Picks, and it is the twill yarn from Knit Picks. Colorway is horchata. As 100% superwash merino yarn, and it's worsted weight. And I bought this at least a year ago because I had these blues here. I had these already in stash from Knit Crate when Knit Crate was around, and I had used these. I had decided to make a sweater with these 5 colors, which I do have, and I still had some leftover blue that I'm like, what am I going to do with that? And so I was thinking, well, why don't I make something small that will use up the rest of, because I had a whole skein of the tan plus a good amount of the blues left. I'm like, why don't I just make a quick top that will use that? And so I was looking around on Ravelry, and I found the June top, and it looked like I had enough yarn to accommodate that. I did not. Which is another reason why I think this is too big, because I think if I'd knit less stitches, I would have had enough. So anyways, I got a couple rows of the bottom done in the beige, and then I added the blues, and then I brought the beige back in, but then I was running really low on yarn because it was only like 1.5 skeins I think I had left. And so I decided to do another color chunk here, and with this one I am using some leftover yarn that I have from Bramble Ridge, because last year she did a solstice box, and in the solstice box she had 2 skeins. One was like a really dark blue, and one was a really, really light, almost ice blue, and I had a bit of both, well, quite a bit of both left over, so I decided to use the like icy blue one with some of my hand dyed yarn, which I talked about last episode. I don't think I actually want to use it with that green because I think it will look way too weird and different. So it actually looks really good with this ice blue yarn that I had left over. And so I've got this one here, and I'm just bringing back in the beige now. And it's almost at the right length where I can split and start working. It's like front and back, you work separate. And so I've got all the strands coming down from my leftovers that I have not, dealt with. They're all over the map inside, which is fine. And my little bit of the leftover here of the twill, plus I have another little bit, probably half a skein left as well. And so I still don't think I'm going to have enough left over. So what I'm planning to do is I still have the, oh, here it is. Yeah, this is the last little bit I have of the twill. So I don't think that's going to be enough. So I have the last little bit of my darker color from the winter solstice box from Bramble Ridge here, and I think I might introduce that now or at the top of the tank top. I don't know yet which way I'm going to go. Hopefully, because this is a DK, so it is lighter, which is why I combined these two, because I combined a DK with a fingering weight, so it's a bit bulkier than I think a true worsted is, but I didn't know what to do. Do I do less bulky or more bulky? I went with more bulky. This one I'll just have to do less bulky because I don't think it will match anything that I have that's fingering weight. It's going to be a fun around the house sweater when it's all done, I'm sure, because it's not going to, I don't know. I'm hoping it'll be okay. Anyways, let's bring this up close here. And I do like the colors it's producing. I think it looks really nice color-wise, but fit-wise, I'm just worried it's going to be too big because it doesn't, okay, when I do this, it does not look too big. When I do this, it looks okay. So I think I'm worried for no reason. I'm hoping. But just when I look at it like this, it looks big. And I think that's because it's bottom up. I'm hoping that's the reason. So I'm gonna keep going. I was like humming and hawing, do I frog it, don't I frog it? Do I try to go down in size? I'm like, well, I just don't know because it might be fine, it might not be fine. I won't know until I'm done it, I think. So I'm gonna keep going along with it in the hopes that it will be fine. And anyways, I'm also using my Knit Picks circulars with that project because I didn't have available needles in my Chow Goose. Yeah. Okay, so that is all of my whips, and that's really all that I have for you guys today. Oh, I feel like I have a lot, but I feel like I don't. Anyways, that's okay. I will sign off here then, and I will see you guys later.